Let's say we're asked to plot a line and we're given its equation. And so in this case we're given the equation y equals negative 2x plus 5, which we should recognize is the slope-intercept form of the equation for this line. So to graph this, we'll start out by, first of all, making sure that we've used a straight edge to draw the axes, the x-axis and the y-axis, and also making sure that we've put arrows at each end to signify that these are number lines that continue on to infinity in both directions. Next of all, we need to look at our equation and use the information given to us. So this piece, this component here, plus 5, we'll take that as being a positive 5, is the y-intercept, in other words, the point where our line crosses the y-axis. So this is the y-intercept. Over here, this negative 2, which is the coefficient on the x term, this is our slope. So this slope here is going to tell us how steep the line is. It's gradient, the rise over the run, in other words, the change in the y values compared to the change in the x values, and that has a value of negative 2. So we know we're going to have a negative slope, which means that it points down as we go from left to right. So let's see what it looks like to graph this. First of all, we need a positive 5 on the y-axis. So you'll notice that I haven't put a scale on my graph here, which I need to do. And now this is completely arbitrary. I can use any scale I want, but in this case, since I don't have a high value for my y-intercept, it makes sense to just count by ones here so that each box on this graph paper indicates 1 on my y-axis number line. So I would think of this as being positive 5 on the y-axis, and I don't have to draw these little tick marks, but that was just to count it off. But what I do have to do, and what you must do, is indicate the scale of your axis by writing at least one number. I've written the positive 5, so I'm going to put a dot to represent the point on the y-intercept of my equation, and now from there I need to count a slope of negative 2, and we know that slope is rise over run, so that means I need to go down 2 over to the right 1, and I cannot just assume that my x-axis is scaled the same as my y-axis. I must indicate it. So I'll count out 5, 2, 3, 4, 5 and go to the positive 5 on the x-axis, and now I'm cleared to go ahead and count the slope here. So down 2 to the right positive 1, and I can put a dot, and then I can do the same thing just to give myself 3 points, down 2 over to the right 1, and when I've got that finished I need to take a straight edge. I should not sketch this, nor should you ever sketch this just freehand. Take a ruler, a straight edge, and connect these dots, these points, and extend your line beyond the first point and beyond the last point. Put an arrow at the end of each end of the line, and then you're not quite done yet. You need to go and label this line with its actual equation. I'll tilt the paper slightly so you can see me do this. I need to go and write y equals negative 2x plus 5 to label that graph with its equation, and then and only then have I properly graphed it and can consider myself finished.